Good morning, everyone. Last week we finished the 5-day precept retreat. That was also the end of the 3-month practice period. During the 3-month practice period, we had many visitors, and people in town supported their practice, and it's really nice to work together. So I appreciate all of your practice and support during the practice period. Last 3 months, the Shuso Doryu gave Dharma talk on Sundays. He left, so now I have to talk again. On Sundays, since I think 2006 or almost 7 or 8 years, I have been talking on this text, Opening the Hand of Thought. I talk almost paragraph by paragraph, so it's very slow. But I think it was to read in that way, because Okumura Roshi's style of writing is kind of very understandable. He tried not to use Buddhist technical terms, but he tried to express and explain what the Buddhist teaching means using the colloquial language. So when we carelessly read his writings, I think what he's writing is easy to understand without too much thinking. But what he's discussing is not so easy things. So my work is kind of translate his easy expression to the traditional Buddhist expressions to show what he's talking for modern people is accord with traditional Buddhist teaching or Zen teachings. Today, I'm going to talk on 2 paragraphs on page 97. If we want to check this book later. Let me read these 2 paragraphs. In other words, without being tossed about by personal feelings and ideas, just returning to the life of my true self, without envying or being arrogant toward those around me, neither being self-deprecating nor competing with others. Yet, on the other hand, not falling into the trap of laziness, negligence, or carelessness. Just manifesting that life of myself with all the vigor I have. Here is where the glory of life comes forth, and where the light of Buddha shines. Religious light shines where we manifest our own life. In Buddhism, the world that unfolds as true self, settling on true self, is not a world where the strong devour the weak, or where people struggle for mere survival. Nor is it a world of escapism or seclusion, where one has forgotten to bring forth the flower of one's life. it is a world that opens the flower of self alone. It is a world that opens the present alone. Buddhist samadhi, that is Zazen, is the foundation for the manifestation of this life. From page 89, he means Okumura Roshi, discussing about the meaning of Zazen practice in the context of modern civilization. What is the meaning of Zazen practice within these modern times for us modern people? And first he discussed the nature of modern civilization as a scientific and technological civilization, and these two are combined with politics, economy, and even military. And what he said about the modern civilization is this is a result of human effort for progress. And he said, progress, our effort to progress is based on our desire. And desire is based on dissatisfaction. You know, that means we think we are not good enough, or this world is good enough. So we have some dissatisfaction. Then we think if we achieve something or reach somewhere else, then we'll find satisfaction. So this is the goal. To reach the goal, we work hard and make progress. So without desire based on dissatisfaction, we cannot make progress. What Okumura Roshi is saying is, no matter how much we progress in science and technology, we don't find satisfaction because when we reach this goal, then we still have dissatisfaction and try to go further. So progress is no end. And yet dissatisfaction is also no end. So we are like a horse chasing after a carrot. And he said, within this structure of our life, being based on working hard, based on our dissatisfaction, there's no way to find peace of mind. Okumura said, our effort to make progress is one very important effort all human beings have been making from the time we are born on this planet. But another very important aspect of human effort, all human beings in any culture have been doing, is find a peace of mind. And these two are really important part of human life. But in the modern times, the balance between progress and peace of mind is, how can I say, destroyed, because this become too big. And the result or fruit of human effort for finding a peace of mind is religion. So, and now religion is getting weaker and weaker. We don't think spirituality is important because we have a kind of a delusion that if science and technology develop completely, then all of us can be happy. No problem remain. I think at least that was the message I received when I was a kid. That is middle of 20th century, when I was a kid. You know, the basic message I received from my teachers and also from the Japanese society is we are getting better because of progress of material civilization. And if this keep progressing, then all the problems we have now will disappear and we can be perfectly happy. But that idea didn't work. And I think around 1960s, when I became teenagers, the message changed. And people started to say, this is a problem. You know, this progress or too much progress or too much weight on materialistic progress and pursuing human satisfaction of our desire makes our life more and more difficult. Or it can be annihilate human, not only human, but the nature, destroy the nature of this planet Earth. So around that time, there is a kind of a big change in our view. So we start to think peace of mind is also important. And I think that is what Okumura Roshi is saying. He wrote this writing, I think about 1970. So around the same time. So this is Okumura Roshi's or from Okumura Roshi's comment or opinion or observation of why spiritual practice like meditation, in our case, Zazen, it can be meaningful if even within this society or world of material development. So this book was written about 50 years ago. So it might be out of date. That means we know more than what he knew. So we don't need to believe everything he wrote. We don't need to follow whatever, everything he said to us. But at least what he is saying about the human condition in these modern times can be some useful or helpful advice. That is why I'm reading this book. And as a Zen master, Japanese Zen master, Okumura Roshi was kind of a unique person because when he was a student, he studied Western philosophy. He finished the master course. And after he finished the graduate school, he became a teacher of Catholic theology or seminary. And he studied Catholic theology. So he understood Western people's way of thinking. So even though he was a Zen master, he can express Buddhist teaching or Dharma in the way not only Western people, but for us young Japanese can understand. without using so much traditional Buddhist technical terms. Anyway, let me start to talk about these two paragraphs. He said, in other words, without being tossed about by personal feeling and ideas. This personal feeling and ideas is a translation of ningen teki omoi. Ningen is human beings. Human. Teki means like oh, and omoi is thinking. So human thinking. And human thinking refer to, in Buddhist terms, our six sense organs encounter with the object of six sense organs, like eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, encounter with color, sound, smell, taste, touch, and object of mind. And something happened in our mind. That is what omoi means. And in this case, omoi can include not only intellectual thinking, but can also include emotion. This Chinese character, omoi, or thinking, has two parts. This upper part means field, like a rice paddy, the field where farmers grow rice. And the lower part means mind or heart. So, on the field of our mind, something grow, something come up and grow and make a fruit. That is what thinking, or this Japanese word omoi means. So this is not only our intellectual, logical thinking, but whatever happening in our mind when our six organs encounter with the object. And what happening in our mind when we encounter with other people and things is to define who we are and define who these other are. That is how we create our world. And we so when six sense organs and six object of sense organs encounter, Buddhism says there are six consciousness aroused, merged. That means eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness. And those are called 18 dharmas, or 18 elements of our life. And that is our life. So within this consciousness, we define who these objects, who or what these objects are, and we evaluate whether this is good for me or not, give us a pleasant or unpleasant sensation, or help us to satisfy our desire. And within the relation with these ourselves and other things, we define who we are. Whether we are rich. When we meet with poor people, we think we are rich. But when we meet with much richer people, we feel we are poor. So these are relative things. Or now I'm a speaker and you are listeners. Or now I am a Buddhist teacher. As a Buddhist teacher, I have to talk something meaningful about Buddhism. That is what I'm doing. Whether I'm successful or not successful, and you are listening to me and you are making judgment, evaluation, whether this is a good teacher or not. This is how we create our life and our world. That is what human thinking means. Based on our thinking, we create the picture of our world. But Okumura Roshi put another thing that is not human thinking. That is, he said, returning to the life of my true self. Life of my true self is a translation of Jiko. No saying. Jiko is self, and no is off, and seimei is life. So he put these two things, thinking and life, as a pair. And we are living being, so we have life. And this life, in my case, is Shōhaku's life. And this self, not Dogen Zenji, I'm sorry. Okumura Roshi uses this word self, Jiko. He almost always make distinction between this word self and another Japanese word for the self, that is jibun. And when we define who we are within this structure, Okumura Roshi called this as jibun, kind of a self-image created within the relation with others. But when Okumura Roshi uses this word jiko, not only Okumura Roshi, but Dogen Zenji also uses this word jiko. For example, in the Genjo Koan, he said to study the Buddha way is to study the self. That self is jiko, not jibun. That is not a self-image. But this self, jiko, is always together and connected with all beings. In the case of jibun, there's a separation between me and others, self and object. And this self is called jibun. But in the case of jiko, we are existing only within the relation of all other beings, within this network of interdependent origination. Or in Buddhist literature, this is called Indra's net. Within Indra's net, we are living connected together with all beings, interconnected with all beings, part of this interconnectedness. And without this relation or interconnectedness, there's no such thing called me. This is simply a collection of the thread. Thread means relations. But in this case, this is me, and this is separate from others. And I am this or that in relation with others. But when Dogen and Okumura Roshi called this jiko, that has connection with all beings. And actually, there's no such fixed entity as me, because this is only the collection of the relations or all different threads. That is a kind of a difference between jibun and jiko. And when he used this word jibun, I usually use the expression karmic self. Karmic self means the self which is created or produced through our experiences with others in this world since we are born. But this self is much broader. The life is much broader than thinking. Thinking is a part of life, but life cannot be part of thinking. But we think. But we think thinking is the owner of this body and mind. That means that is a really basic illusion. So the title of this book, Opening the Hand of Thought, means letting go of this self that is relative with others, but return to this life that is connected with all beings. These two are two different layers of a life. Of course, these two layers are also interconnected. These are not two separate things, but this is a part of our life. But this cannot be part of this. That is an important point. So what we do in our Zazen, at least in Dogen Zenji's tradition, we just sit using this body and mind. We keep this upright posture and sit facing the wall. Fortunately, wall is neither good or bad. So there's no object. And yet, in our mind, all different kind of things happening. And during the Zen, those thoughts become the object of this person sitting. And when those thoughts, what about our thinking, become the object of this person, that means there's a separation within the self. Within the self, one part becomes subject, another part becomes object, and we intercourse the same things. That is what thinking means in our Zen. And when we let go of thought, means we return to oneness. Whenever we find there's a separation within our mind between subject and object, we stop that kind of interaction and return just sitting. That is what we do in our Zazen practice. So our Zazen is really a simple thing. When we find our mind is separated into two parts, and this part is thinking about that thought or idea or memory. Sometimes the memory of my childhood was so real, and I was almost fighting with someone I didn't like. But that is clearly an illusion. So when we do such a thing, we stop it and return into this posture, breathing and letting go. That is what we do. And yet, next moment, we start again. So we return to this life again. We just simply repeat this Dogen Zen said billions of times. So our practice is return to here and now. It's not going somewhere else. Even that is enlightenment. enlightenment is not the goal we need to achieve, but enlightenment is when we return right now, right here. That is a very important point in our practice. Anyway, that is the way Okumura Roshi uses these two expressions, human thinking and return the life of my true self. In this translation, we added this word true to make distinction with this self. Anyway, so in this practice, without being tossed about by personal thinking and ideas, or human thinking, and we just return to the life of the self that is connected with all beings. And without envying or being arrogant toward those around me, neither being self-deprecating nor competing with others. This is what we do within this structure when we compare ourselves with others. And he continued, yet, so we stop those activities. And yet, he said, on the other hand, not falling into the trap of laziness, negligence, or carelessness, just manifesting that life of myself with all the vigor I have. This means, I said our activities in modern society is goal-oriented. So we are always going some direction to achieve things. And Okumura Roshi called this way of living crazy. Our goal is fixed, and we don't care about other things. We only we want only reach that goal, and we neglect other things. That is called crazy, or kichigai in Japanese. But the opposition of this is the attitude of I don't care. Nothing is a problem. Whatever happens, that is good. We don't need to make any effort. That is, according to Okumura Roshi, that is a kind of a misunderstanding of Buddhist teaching of peace of mind. If we don't correctly understand what peace of mind means, we become lazy. We don't need to make effort because everything is okay as it is. That is another extreme. So Okumura Roshi discussing what is the middle way, and he called this attitude as foolish. So there are two extremes. One is crazy, focus on one thing and try to only go that direction, ignoring anything else. Another is foolish. We don't care. We don't think we need to make effort to accomplish anything. We became lazy. And when he used these two extremes, of course, this extreme of craziness is modern civilization of progress. And when he said this foolish, he used the expression foolish civilization. When he used this word, he referred to Japanese or Asian cultures before we receive Western civilization. In the case of Japan, from early 17th centuries until middle of 19th century, more than 250 years, Japanese society was really fixed as a class, like people who are born in samurai class became samurais, and people who are born in the farmer's family as a farmer need to continue to be a farmer. They didn't have any freedom of choosing their occupations. And the population of Japan didn't change for almost 300 years. I think we had 30 million people and it doesn't change for more than 250 years. That means in that small islands, with the way they produce food, this is a limit of the number of people to support. But after Meiji restoration, now I think we have 120 millions. That means 4 times as big. This is a result of our desire to make progress and become rich and strong country. That means Meiji government, in order to keep Japan independent country, they thought if we didn't become strong and prosperous, we lose our country. Because at that time, almost all Asian countries were colonies of European countries. So in order to keep independence of a country, the government put emphasis on study European or Western civilization and make us strong and rich country. To do so, they thought we need more people. So the government encouraged Japanese people to make babies. That is the result of this change. But I think a few years ago, Japanese population started to reduce. Anyway, so what Okumura Roshi said is, the Asian civilization or culture did not make so much effort to progress. So the Japanese society didn't change for almost 300 years. And this is called the Asian stagnation by Western people. That means progress is better than stagnation. And Japan was a very good student of Western civilization, and around the beginning of the 20th century, Japan almost became equal, both economic and military power. That's why Japan had war against America. Not only America, but almost every country. That was really stupid things. Not only stupid, but how can I say? We lost very important thing. That is peacefulness, peace of mind. So what Okumura Roshi is saying to Japanese people is we need to find the balance between the progress and peace of mind, because we neglect the peace of mind, only focus on making our nation rich and strong. Even after World War II, Japanese people worked too hard to make money, and Japan was successful for a while. but now it's not so good anymore. So, this is a world of competition. All people and all countries want to achieve the same thing. To do so, we need to compete with others. And some people become successful, but that success doesn't last forever. So it's a world of competition on the world of up and down. There's no way to keep that peace of mind. So somehow we need to rediscover the balance between these two human effort of making progress and finding a peace of mind. How can we do this? And that is the meaning of our Zen practice within that direction, is what Okumura Roshi is talking in this book. So, yet on the other hand, not falling into the trap of laziness, negligence, or carelessness without, vivid activity. And he said the third way is just manifesting that life of myself. So this life of myself with all the vigor I have. So we make effort, work hard to manifest this life, not to fulfill our desire and compete with others. That is the difference. And he said, here is where the glory of life comes forth, and where the light of Buddha shines. Glory of life is an expression, I think, which was taken from Christianity, glory of God. But he changed the word. Instead of God, he used the life. The glory of life means beauty and dignity of life. And also, the light of Buddha is an expression used in Buddhism. That is Butsu Ko Myo. Buddha, Butsu is Buddha, and Ko is light. And Mei or Myo is brightness. So I translate this as radiant light of Buddha. And about this Komyo, Dogen Zenji wrote one fascicule of Shobogenzo entitled Shobogenzo Komyo, Radiant Light. And each being has its own radiant light. This also means beauty and dignity. And this Komyo light also refers to Buddha's wisdom, which illuminates the darkness of ignorance. So within our practice of letting go of our limited, self-centered idea based on our desire and dissatisfaction, and try to express the dignity and beauty of our life as an expression of our life force. So we don't work hard to satisfy our desire, and yet we don't become lazy, but we work hard diligently. Diligence is one of the 8 Four Noble Path. So we become free from our delusion and also desires, and yet we practice and work diligently. This is a kind of interesting point. Usually we work hard because of our desire, but when we don't have desire, what can be the motivation of working diligently? And what Okumura Roshi saying is our life force manifests itself. That is our diligent work, not to fulfill our self-centered desire, and to make this person, more powerful than others. And there's one more paragraph. In Buddhism, the world that unfolds as true self, settling on true self. The title of this section is Self Settling on Itself. Self Settling on Itself. And this is an expression which Okumura Roshi took from Dhammapada. In Dhammapada is one of the oldest Buddhist scriptures. In that script, Dhammapada, Buddha said, the self is only the island or foundation of the self, or another translation might be master of the self. Self is only master of the self, or only things we can rely on. So Okumura thought this is very basic attitude of any Buddhist tradition. Self-settling the self in the self. So in Buddhism, there's no God we can rely on to pray our happiness, but we need to settle down within ourselves. That is a difference or characteristic of Buddhist teachings. So Buddhism is not a religion for bringing some benefit to the God or gods, but we practice ourselves and find the peacefulness within ourselves. So he's saying, the world that unfolds as true self, settling on true self, is not a world where the strong devour, devour, devour the weak, or where people struggle for mere survival. This is the way we Japanese or Asian people studied from the Western people. Nor is it a world of escapism or seclusion, where one has forgotten to bring forth the flower of one's life. So he repeats the same thing. So we need to find the middle way between crazy civilization and foolish civilization, working hard just as a manifestation of our life force. So he said, it is a world that opens the flower of the self alone. Flower of the self. Is the original expression, Okumura Roshi's Jiko. Give me no Jiko, no Hana. Hana is flower. and Jiko is self, and Jiko is also the self. This is a kind of his unique expression. The flower of the self that is only the self. Self that is only the self is his, or Jikogiri no Jiko is Uchamuro's very unique expression that refer to this self without the separation and interaction with others. The self that is only the self, that includes all beings, not separation. There's no separation between self and others. And that flower. So we are the flowers. Each one of us are flowers. And Uchamuroshi wrote before that, there are, flowers, tiny flowers like violet, and there are, big, beautiful flowers like roses, but we don't need to compare and say rose is better than or more valuable than violet. Violet has no market value. We cannot sell violet, but roses can be very expensive. But violet blooms the flower of violet. That's enough. We don't need, the violet doesn't need to say we are not good flowers. And even the roses, even they have a luxurious flower, roses cannot be proud of. I don't think rose trees are not proud of themselves. They don't compare with others. Only we human beings compare with others and say, I'm no good, or I'm greater than others. That is what we do in our thinking. And what we do in our zazen is let go of that kind of thinking or evaluation. That is only within human mind. So bring forth the flower of one's life, and it is a world that open the flower of self alone. It is a world that opened the present alone. A world that opened the present alone is translation of another unique expression of the Uchamuroshi. That is Genzai. He didn't know Genzai. No. Other words are exactly the same. And this Genzai means present moment. So flower of present moment, that is only present moment. That means even we compare ourselves to others, and also we compare ourselves with things happening or condition in the past, or the condition we hope in the future. And we think our life, this present moment, is a step from the past to the future. So if we don't teach this goal, what we have been doing, and what we are doing at present moment, is not meaningful, or we call it a failure. When we think what we are doing within the time, and that is what we almost always do in human world. But as Dogen Zenji said in Genjo Koan, this moment is perfect moment. Entire past has gone, it's not there. And the entire future has not yet come. So these are not real things. only real thing is this present moment. So our practice of our Zazen practice is also just being settled down within the self and also within this moment, this present moment. But we think, in our life is a kind of like a story. And where we think, where we are from, and where we are now, and where we should go in the future. And evaluate whether so far our life or our effort is good or not so good. That is how we think about ourselves and our activities. But in our Zazen, we let go of all entire past, entire future, only become this moment. So this moment has cannot be neither success nor failure. But this is only real moment. We don't need to compare this present condition with the past conditions. When after I become 60s, somehow my body is getting weaker, and my mind is also going downhill. So when I compare myself at this moment with when I was 50 or 40 or 30 or 20s, I become pessimistic. I'm not good anymore. But when now I'm 66, this is only the moment I can live, and this is the only real moment. So, until a few years ago, I could sit, 15 periods a day for 5 days without any problems. But I cannot sit anymore. I have to sit on the chair. If we think that is better than this, then I have to say I'm not good anymore. That is a problem. But my time of sitting on the floor for 14 periods a day is gone. It's not a real thing anymore. But my reality of my life is, sitting on the chair, and I do my best. That's all I need to do. If I compare myself with who I was, then life is not good anymore. But that is not necessary. Our practice is only this moment. So what we need is to bloom the flower of this present moment. And this self, that means that is the meaning of the expression just right now, right here, with this self. So Okumura Roshi said, this is the meaning of our Zazen practice, or meditation practice in Buddhism, within this wise, noisy, busy, materialistic society in which we work hard and accomplish so many things each day. And we cannot escape from that world. We have to live in that world. But we also need a peace of mind. How can we integrate these two? That means how we can live in the modern society without losing the peace of mind. I think that is a very important thing for us all modern people, not only Buddhists. So that is Okumura's conclusion about the meaning of meditation or Zazen or spiritual practice in this modern society. And from the next section, he discussed about the nature of our Buddhist practice and teaching as a interdependent origination and the middle way. So I'll continue next week. This is what I have to say today. Any question or comments? Please.
I'm going to try to make the distinction between the karmic self and the Junko self.
Mm-hmm.
And the karmic self, if I've understood it correctly, is a composition of all our senses, the mind and heart,
mm-hmm.
that produces a self-image that
mm-hmm.
projects itself into society, and society in turn
mm-hmm.
projects
mm-hmm.
back to the karmic self.
Mm-hmm.
The process of Zazen
mm-hmm.
allows us to, hopefully, deconstruct all of those conceptions of self.
Mm-hmm.
And it would seem to me that if you arrive at a Junko self, you have deconstructed everything, including desire.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the construction of the Junko self itself
mm-hmm.
has to be, I think, the creation of our senses. If it's not, it exists independently. If it exists independently, then it can't be connected to Indira's net. But if it doesn't exist independently, it has to exist independently in space and time, and exist without desire at that moment. That's a question, I think.
I'm sorry, but I don't understand the point of the question. It seems like that is your statement.
It is a statement, but I guess I'm asking, is it moderately correct? Would the Junko self happen? I don't see how it could exist in a space-time continuum. It seems to me it has to be an existence independent, but none of space and time, but at the same time dependent upon the Indirian net.
Well, when we talk about this karmic self and what is another word? Original self, a word which has connection with all beings.
The Junko self.
Are the same thing.
Well, that's what I was.
You know, what I talked this morning is a concept. As a concept, these two are different, but both are these five skandhas. So there's no such independent entity which is called
Junko self.
Right.
Right. I do know that. I know that's what you're going to tell me. But somehow.
So this means the emptiness of five skandhas. But usually we grasp these five skandhas as me. But when we open our hand, then these five skandhas are simply five skandhas without grasping. And as a kind of a skillful means, we call that is the original or something, I don't like any word. Actually, this is a nameless thing.
You can put it in a word.
This is nameless thing. But in order to communicate, we need to use a concept.
Well, that's what I meant by you can't build it without constructing it through your thought process.
So this is kind of a reconstruction. So you need to forget what I said today. If you grasp, these kind of what Okumura wrote as a concept or theory or theology, Buddhist philosophy, then you completely miss the point of what Okumura is talking or what Dogen is talking. What they are talking, including Buddha, is practice or living, not an idea or views about our practice or our life. So this is always important point, especially in Zen teachings. Don't think, but we have to think. So we need to let go of thinking and facing the actual real things. That is neither, both are not real, karmic self and the self, true self, are not really independent entity or concept. But when we talk, we have to use the concept and talk about the difference between this and that. That is the way we create another problem. So that is why, Dogen said our practice is continuous mistakes. Everything we talk is a mistake. And yet, without making mistakes, we cannot communicate. So, what we are doing here is a very interesting thing. When we understand, we have to let go or forget. Well, I'm sorry, but this is not the answer to your question.
No, it is. May I ask one more, and that was, would Yuko self exist within time and space or independent of time and space?
Some time and space.
Is it between time and space, perhaps?
Time and space and the self is the same thing.
Ah. Okay. That's kind of where I was going to.
Yeah. In Shobogenzo Zenki, Dogen says, when we sailing a boat, this entire world is a world of sailing a boat. So when we are sitting, this entire world, entire time and space become the world of sitting. It's a kind of strange things to say. So world is what we do. Thank you. Any question or comments, please?
Maybe it's similar question, but it's from different angle of view. If sixth sense,
Pardon?
Sixth sense, if I'm correct.
Sixth sense organs.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I include mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's not arise independently.
Yeah.
It's a combination.
Right.
And it's create conscience of this sixth sense, sixth conscience.
Mm-hmm.
So where is idea of self-independent self come from in this case?
I think
From delusion?
Come from our thinking. The part of five skandhas is a mind, and when we receive the stimulation from outside, that is sensation, and when we create perception, and when we see the perception, we create what they are, and when we think what they are, we think what this is. That means when I think this is a glass of water, means this person is talking, I'm a speaker, and I become thirsty sometimes. That's why we need water. So when I think this is a glass of water, I already think this, what is this? This is a speaker who needs water. Right? So from our birth, we continue having this kind of function of our mind. And somehow it becomes the concept, become reified, become like a reality. And also, when we think, we use language. And I think almost all language, we need subject. I am, in this case, I'm Shōhaku. But Shōhaku is changing. then I was born, Shōhaku is tiny baby, and no thinking. But since then, Shōhaku been changing. Shōhaku was teenager, Shōhaku was middle-aged person, now Shōhaku is aged person. But I always call I am Shōhaku. So it seems like there's something which doesn't change. I was Shōhaku even 66 years ago, and I was Shōhaku 30 years ago, and I'm still Shōhaku. So Shōhaku is been changing, but this I seem doesn't change. That's how we create or produce the concept which doesn't change. Without this concept of I which doesn't change, even the changing doesn't make sense, right? You know, if this body and this 5 scans 66 ago and six years later are completely different, then I cannot say, you know, there's a continuation. But because we kind of create something abstract I, so this abstract concept of I goes through the process of change. That's why I can be a baby and I can be 66-year-old person. Without this concept of I which doesn't change, we can't explain or express even the change. I think so. We need this illusion.
So we need to attach to something.
Yeah.
Justify.
Right. But we need to understand how this fixed concept is created, and this is a production of our mind. If we understand that point, then we are not deceived by those abstract concepts. Does it make sense? Thank you. Please.
If you arrived at the perfect Junko self, would it ever change?
Could you say it again?
If you arrive without having any aim of destination, but assuming that you arrive at the perfect Junko self, would that self change?
I'm sorry, but I have not yet arrived, so I cannot tell. Once I arrived, I'll tell you. But next maybe both of us are not alive yet already.
That's I'm sorry, as you know, I get wrapped up in this, and it just seems to me that there would come a time that you deconstruct so much that you exist independently, but you can't do that and still be part of the net. And so I don't see, but at the same time, if the true self settles on true self, and true self is really self, then it exists. I'm sorry, that's not how I feel.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But we need to know what means true self.
If
say it exists.
That's the point.
A very good philosophical discussion. But I'm too tired to continue. Thank you very much.